Welcome back to another Llamas Graze. I know you guys are getting sick of these this year. I've done a whole whopping 4 of them. Um, Today we have JMG on from Open Stablecoin Index, and excited to talk to him. You may call you JM. What's your handle I can use?
You can just call me James.
James, that'll work.
Yeah.
All right, nice to meet you, James. I'm Cogsy,
Hey,
and this
buddy.
is the Llamas Graze. And thank you for coming on and doing. I've been teasing an announcement and like alpha, so hopefully we can not disappoint people. I've been using the A word occasionally, so that like baits people into come and listen. They want to hear about it. But first of all, of course, we have to start every call with you talking about a little bit about yourself and introducing Open to people who haven't heard about it yet.
Sure. Maybe I'll give you the open intro first and then the James intro. Open Stablecoin Index is a decentralized token folio, a DTF. It's like an ETF, but it's on chain. It's deployed on the Reserve Protocol on mainnet Ethereum. Um, it's a basket of 10 assets. So if you're familiar with other index products like the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ 100 or the Coin 50, it's an index product just like that, except this one has 10 different stablecoin networks in the basket, ranging from Aave to Frax to Reserve to Sky and so forth. Um, you might wonder, well, why are we calling Aave a stablecoin network? Typically, the stablecoins are often the kind of glue or the lubricant, I should say, that makes the business, makes the ecosystem run better. Even if you kind of go all the way back to look at Tether in its early days, it was not really a standalone business, but it made Bitfinex work more successfully. Um, and so, what we have in the Open Stablecoin Index is 10 of these DeFi stablecoin networks. By the way, you can look at the basket at openstablecoinindex.com. And it's all run on smart contracts. There's no CEO, there's no team. It's just a bunch of governors and contributors. And we have a governance token for governing this basket that we use to change the basket, kind of every three. It has a quarterly rebalance. But of course, new stablecoin networks can be proposed to join the basket or leave the basket for that matter. There is only room for 10. So, over time, we think that's going to kind of continually correct for having the best 10 in the world. And these are the 10 that are kind of leading the way on transparency and user-led governance and composability. So that would, for example, cut out a bunch of centralized stablecoin networks. Um, so yeah,
and
that's the
and
quick on open.
we voted on the first set, right? Like that was how the initial set of basket. Was it set by you guys from the beginning, or was it a vote first before it ever launched?
Yeah, it was a very sort of loose voting. It was before it was launched to pick kind of the 10 winners, really to show a proof of concept. But the community did their first vote in July of this year. That was for the third quarter vote, and we're just about coming up on the fourth quarter vote that'll happen in the next roughly 2 to 3 weeks. Um, and so yeah, and so if you were to go to the Twitter feed, the Twitter X feed of Open Stablecoin Index, you'd see there's a lot of conversation about this upcoming call it a bake off for looking at new projects and considering them and understanding them. What's really exciting about this is it becomes kind of like a shelling point for understanding the so-called frontier of stablecoins. All the experimentation that's happening with whether it's Alchemix or Sky ecosystem or someone new who's already put in a proposal last week, which is Franken coin. It's a Swiss pegged stablecoin. So, last time around we had proposals from Maple Finance, Alchemix, FX Protocol. And so it's becoming like just a really interesting way to look apples to apples at these different stablecoin projects. The index tells that story. And then, as you see something trending up or trending down, you can start to ask questions on why.
Oh,
Um,
wonderful intro on that one. What about yourself? How did you get here to Open?
yeah, so I kind of had three career arcs, one in the entertainment business in Los Angeles, one in venture capital also in Los Angeles, and then now mostly crypto, mostly stable coins. I was a seed investor and the head of ecosystem growth at Reserve Protocol for a while. I've been investing in the space since about 2018. I've been kind of tinkering with crypto a little bit earlier than that, and just really to learn it, to understand it. I remember the first few times I read the Bitcoin white paper and probably understood barely 1% of it at the time, but it's been a nice sort of compounding exercise to really learn about like these future of money systems, future of governance. So I've been doing that. I've really been in this space about 11 years total. But yeah, about 15 years in television operations, biz dev types of roles, and then as an analyst working with a VC firm in Los Angeles prior to that. That's how I got here.
Awesome. Thank you for that response. The initial distribution of Squill. So, for people that don't know, the governance token that allows you to vote on the basket quarterly is the Squill token, right, James?
That's right.
So, how did you guys do the initial distribution of Squill? And are there continuations of emissions that are programmed in for it, or does the DAO hold it all and distribute it at Liberty?
Yeah, great question. So there's 10 million squill and we burned the Met contract. So that's all there ever will be. Um, about 1.5 million, I don't know the exact numbers, about 1.5 million of it is in the hands of the community. And the intention is to get the majority of it in the hands of the community within the next 12 months. How are we doing that? There's no token sales or anything like that. There's no raising money. There's no company. The way we started this was this project was kind of born. Some of the ideation happened with some of the contributors at Leviathan News, and we thought, well, you already have Squid DAO, that's already, kind of building a news apparatus, and people are earning some Squid tokens for that, and that was pretty cool, pretty impressive. So we thought, well, why don't we just reward everyone who's already contributed to Leviathan News? Um, and make that the first airdrop. And so that's how the first airdrop happened. I think Squill was airdropped on about maybe 300 or 400 addresses. I'm definitely not precise on that number, but a lot, pretty good number. That was the first airdrop where people who had previously contributed to Squid DAO and Leviathan News, they got some free Squill. The second airdrop, we thought, well, season two is let's get let's identify active governors in protocols like Curve or Reserve or Sky or Alchemix and airdrop to them. So we did that with like about 11 or 12 protocols, just the active governors. So these are not just kind of rando sort of airdrop farmers. They're people who've got a demonstrated behavior of locking tokens and participating in governance, because that's what we're trying to do is bring some of the smartest long-term contributors to the ecosystem. um, so yeah, that was season two. We did that in July, and now here we are, we're coming up on season three. And I'm a llama holder myself. I think I'm number 609. We love the llama community. I know that everyone I've ever interacted with in the llama community is building something, and that's pretty cool. We really like building community with builders and tinkerers, researchers, analysts, and that was the thinking is, well, let's include 1111 llama NFTs in the next airdrop for Squill. And honestly, with the hope that you guys will come and participate in governance. um, and by the way, hint hint, there will be future airdrops to people who are vote locked and participating in governance.
Well,
So it's going to be a really fun thing over the next 12 months. And some people vote lock and govern. Some go in LP. There are pools on Curve and on Uniswap. You can go LP over there. Actually, I take that back. You can LP open on Curve and Uniswap. You can only LP Squill on Curve, Curve Mainnet and Curve Fractal. There's a pool on Fractal as well. So, and the rewards are good. I checked yesterday. I think it was around 18%. There's lots of cool things you can do with your Squill. And we have a Telegram group called the Open Secret Admirers, and that's a good group to join. You can find that link at the bottom of openstablecoinindex.com,
Yeah,
and
I
you'll be
definitely
in
want
the
to link
room with
that one for you on the announcement. I want to make sure that we get more people in that Telegram group.
amazing, amazing. Yeah. Yeah, and look, it's for us, it's definitely about quality, not quantity. But if it happens to be a high quality and a high quantity, that's great too. There's work to do with the Open Stablecoin Index. There was a group called 5112M Research that put together a report about a week or two ago and distributed it. They did a back test, a 4-year back test on the Open Stablecoin Index, and I won't get into all the details, but the highlights are that Open would outperform ETH over that period of time, which is interesting. That's kind of, I'm not sure I would have expected that. But look, it's a back test done in a vacuum, so it's not perfect either. Um, but it's super helpful for the community to assess what is the correct methodology for this index. Every index, every ETF has a methodology for how often it rebalances, what can go in the basket, et cetera, et cetera. And I'd say, our first version of the basket, actually, we did lose a token in the sort of second vote, and here we are coming up on the third vote. So it's going to get better over time, and it's also allowing us to create, more content around it to really understand what I think people are underestimating for the future of stablecoins. Obviously, we're all really excited right now. The world is excited about stablecoins, particularly the central issuer kind. And it's great that we're in a regulation positive environment for that. But there's also a lot of innovation happening on the frontier, things that you can do in DeFi that you just cannot do in TradFi. I say it a lot. It's kind of like DeFi is the experimental sandbox. And TradFi will borrow. TradFi has the benefit of seeing us stress test the most innovative designs, and of course, TradFi being TradFi, they'll borrow what they want. But
Or
but
steal
that being
it.
said, there remains these novel opportunities in DeFi that I think are going to set it apart, and people are going to be surprised in 5 or 10 years with how money splinters. It won't, Tether and Circle. It's kind of like AOL and Yahoo were really big internet companies in the 90s, but not so much anymore.
So before we move on to talk, I'm going to ask you some more airdrop questions, obviously, because that's what we care about. Obviously,
Yeah.
win free stuff. That's what the llamas
Yeah.
want to know. So, but mostly about the token. So, a lot of the vast majority of the people that are going to be using Open aren't going to care about governance. They're not like us, right? They're not going to do on-chain votes. So, for the
Right.
public and for the mass market aspect of the index, do all they have to do is just go buy open tokens, and that gives them the coverage across the board for all these different DeFi projects. Now, right now, are they only able to swap for it, or is open on any centralized exchanges?
So they can do two things. One is they can just go mint open with ETH or USDC on the Reserve app. And you can find that, if you go to openstablecoinindex.com, you'll see a link that says get open. It'll take you to that app. So you can just mint directly on chain. Now that mint has a zap. So what the zap is actually doing is calculating the most optimal path to either swap your ETH or USDC into open, or to actually go and buy all 10 constituents and zap mint it. It works pretty good. I would say let the zapper run for about 60 seconds to get the best prices. The other thing you can do is you could just go swap directly on Uniswap or Curve to get some open if you want to do that. Kind of just limit the amount of hops or the amount of smart contracts in between. But those are the two ways to get open right now. It's not on any centralized exchanges yet. It's about $1 million TVL, maybe 900,000. Up from zero starting in April of this year when it launched. And it's been growing quite a bit every month.
I'm sure there's an ARB opportunity also, right? The Zap versus the Swap, which
That's right.
I doubt anybody set up bots for it yet. So if anybody's super clever, you can probably ARB that. And I'm imagining that the spread is pretty wide because of how inefficient like all of this early stuff is.
Yeah.
Another ARB that happened today was we did a Leviathan SQUID auction for 250,000 SQUILL, and it went for like $3,000 when if you wanted to swap for it, it would have cost you 8,500. So
Yeah.
there's some opportunity to be able to pick up some SQUILL for a discount, on top of obviously our airdrop off situation. So I think that really like the marketing aspect of this is like the only way to ever make money in the stock market historically is to be in an index fund, right? You could never pick winners. You could never, it's humanly impossible to pick winners because everybody's like, oh,
Yeah.
I should have just bought Amazon stock in 19 fucking 94 or whatever and kept it. But there's been like 7,000 companies that were just like Amazon that went broke and you lost all your money. So you can never pick a winner. So the only thing that's ever outperformed over a 150-year time frame is an index fund, and that's the only
Yeah.
place you're
Yeah.
ever supposed to go. So you have that, and then the people who are coming to crypto now, just in the last 6, 7, 8 months, are people that are familiar with index funds and they're familiar with that concept. So the pitch is like already written for you. I mean, it seems like it could be a huge, TVL sucker, just because of the logic of it.
Yeah. Indexing, I think in 2019, passive indexing, in the stock market surpassed active trading in the stock market. As you said, really and I've written like 4,000 words on this earlier this year on my blog it's at furthermore.co, just on the past, present, and future of indexing, which, started about 100 years ago and has really taken off thanks to ETFs and the internet in the 90s. And now here we are seeing ETFs come on chain. I think I just saw an announcement today that Kraken and another large index fund are launching a DTF on reserve protocol. So that probably will be really big if it has day one distribution on Kraken, and it has a big Wall Street methodologist involved. So I think we're going to see a lot of that. That really is the big question because everyone here probably remembers Index Coop and the DeFi Pulse Index, which got over $200 million of TVL in 2021. They really proved out, indexing on chain. I think they were actually just really early. A lot of the folks who were probably on this call and the people in crypto at that time, and even now, a lot of them are active managers of their positions. Many of you are builders, so you're not really the set it and forget it types of people. The set and forget it types of people are kind of more like retail, more like let me look at my portfolio once a month, once a year type stuff. So I think as more people come on chain, which is still just a tiny, tiny number, of active users on a monthly basis. It's less than 200 million, which is nothing. That's like the internet in 1994. It's such a small amount. But as you start to see billions of people come on chain, just like we saw billions of people come onto the internet in the mid 2000s, then suddenly it explodes and people can't live without it. And I think that's when you'll really see indexing take off. But I hope for the people that are tinkerers or kind of really care about like this idea of open money systems, pick up some open, hold a little, and tell some friends, and it's kind of a fun thing. Obviously, I minted a bunch at the beginning, and I'm eager to see how it compares to all of my one-off bets.
Absolutely. I had a question about the pivoting over to the airdrop situation. Can you still hear me? Okay, sorry, I had a little internet issue there for a second. Um, the the airdrop snapshot. So that's, of course, I've already gotten DMs about that. So do you have a plan, a game plan on that? Did you want to project a time or give us a firm date, or has it already been taken? What are you thinking about the airdrop snapshot?
I think my suggestion would be we do the snapshot on October 1st, which I think is what I think it's kind of a little bit up to you as well. Somewhere between the 29th and the 1st, for anyone who's locked llamas, in the staking contract. How does that sound?
That sounds incredible. So, like, target the lockers, right? You want the long
Yeah,
term holders, you want those kind of people. So, we can immediately strip out 400 of them that aren't locked and then
yeah,
concentrate the airdrop more on the lockers themselves. And
yeah.
then, did you want to make any kind of other rules about it? Or did you want to, is it like a one drop per llama thing? Or did you want to try to concentrate it on people with that had more llamas? Or what were you looking towards?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think we're ready to disclose that mechanic yet. But there will be the objective is to get some squill in the hands of llamas and to also take notice of people that are more committed than others. Whether it's they have more llamas in one wallet or in many wallets, it doesn't matter. I think no one needs to go out and spread across wallets here. Um, but there's a few days here. Go get locked up. Maybe some of those 400 llamas that are out there that are not currently locked will do so. And I think that's probably win. It's like three wins right there. It's a win for the llama community. It's a win for the llama holder, and it's a win for soon to be a squill holder.
Absolutely.
So it's like we should do that. No brainer.
Absolutely
Um,
perfect. Yeah, so
yeah.
that'll be the main gist of our marketing campaign with you guys and our tweets and our Discord announcements is you got a week, get yourself locked, and as long as you're in the locking contract, you're looking good for a nice fat squill drop.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
Um,
really appreciate you thinking of us and
yeah.
including us in this.
And
We're
then
really
just also that reminder, I'm sure some people will be tempted to dump. Uh, Try to be tempted to lock your tokens and participate in governance because there's going to be much more. As I mentioned earlier, I think only about 1.5 million of Squill is in the community hands. So, and the goal is we need to get to like 6 million pretty soon, actually. I'd say kind of like in the next year. So, how are we going to do that? Very likely it's going to be people that are contributing, uh, either vote locked their squill, and they don't have to do anything in governance if they don't want to. But maybe they are participating in governance. Maybe they are showing up to vote. You can really kind of choose your own journey, but definitely people that are long-term committed will be rewarded.
That's awesome. We're super pumped, and I was really excited to be able to have you straight up just announce it and say it because I've been trying to like beat around the bush with everybody for the last week. Like
Yep.
maybe there might be something that you get if you have a locked llama. Really excited to be part of this project with you, and so now the big question, and I know you can't wait to hear. So how about that shitcoin that CZ dropped? How do we like get that in the index? Because we need some BNB shit in there. How do we get some BNB in the DeFi index in open?
It's a good question. Yeah, I did not. I haven't followed all the news on CZ. I did see there was something out there. I saw him denying it, which means it's
It's 100%
serious.
true.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly, exactly. Look, the 10. Ideally, these are mainnet tokens, but they don't have to be. They can be bridge tokens. That does create, a little bit of require a closer look though on liquidity, because the Open Index mints and redeems on mainnet. So it needs access to liquidity of that asset. But I'm sure, BNB is not a stable coin, but there could be some other asset in its ecosystem that is, and as long as they have liquidity on mainnet, that could be an interesting opportunity.
That's a perfect answer on that one. It's the hot ball of money of the week, right? That was gonna
Yeah,
go over there and buy the hype ripoff or whatever. So I had to bring it
exactly.
up. Sorry, I had to break away for just a second because we just did an announcement in the Llamas Discord. I don't know if you saw the ping come up, but we announced that the Llamas did do the seed investment in yield basis. And I just
Nice.
wanted to get that on the call. That is kind of like a double announcement with you on here. That all of our tokens will be perma locked, and we're gonna vote with it, and all the rewards that come from our yield basis tokens will be streamed to all llamas in the locker, obviously. To hell with those guys who aren't locked. You get no
Yeah,
squill, you get no yield basis yield, you get nothing if you're not in the locking contract. So there's 600 and whatever, 675 of us are in there right now. So I just wanted to
nice.
give a little shout out to Hawthorne for getting that announcement up about yield basis. Excited about that one. Um, what do you think about the growth aspect of open? So where on the trajectory, if you look at like the DeFi Llama chart on it, like has it been just a steady growth of usage, or did you see like a big spike of excitement and then flatline, or how is it looking?
I guess so. We've been live now for 5 months, and it's just been steadily stepping up. I think August was a little bit of a drag, maybe. But it's been steadily stepping up. I need to check the math, but like kind of like a 20 or 30% growth rate per month. So more people are coming in and minting. And I guess the sky is the limit. $1 million is nothing. It's certain. It's probably worth sharing with people. Um, the index has some fees, tiny fees, like 0.05%, I believe, goes to the platform fee for Reserve Protocol, and then something like 0.3 or 0.4% goes to actually half of that goes to the governor. So if you're vote locking your squill, you're getting a portion of that, and then the remainder goes to the Squid DAO, the Leviathan new Squid DAO, which just funds more education and content and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say it's tiny right now. For an index to really become a so-called business, you want to be at $1 billion of assets under management. A billion, a couple billion, 10 billion, something like that. So it's a long ways to go, but that's what makes it actually quite interesting. Whether you're deciding to hold open and participate in those stablecoin networks through the index in the next 5 years, or if you're just a squill governor, today you're only governing $1 million assets under management. A few months ago it was only 300,000. So it's an interesting growth rate to track and see what that might mean in the future. But there's not going to be a version of this in the future where there's some type of middleman or corporation that's managing the Open Stablecoin Index. It's just the Squill governors. So for folks that are excited about DeFi governance and indexing, hold on and hope you guys will participate.
Wonderful. They about that situation on the squill. So let's talk about after the airdrop. And we've got a bunch of llamas here in a few weeks that have questions. Best plan of action. So no matter where the squill is, you still have vote power, right? If you LP the squill, you can still vote, correct?
You'll have to make that choice. You can either LP or you can vote. You won't be able to do both.
Okay, so you
Um,
can't vote with LP tokens, basically. Okay, I got
that's
it.
right. That's right.
So
Yeah. So go ahead.
if you're locked, like I've got all mine locked right now in the
Okay.
locking con, and is the locking through reserve? Is that where we went for the locking contract?
Yeah, that's the smart contract. They built that smart contract for locking your squill.
So the smart thing then is to go lock it and then vote, and it's 4 votes a year. It's not that big of a deal. Continue to collect more airdrops as you vote, probably. Hint, hint, wink,
Yep.
wink. And
Yep.
then there'll be, as the project grows, that cut that you're going to get as a governor is going to grow and grow, and the yield will grow over time.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and look, or you can decide to go an LP, and you'll earn those LP rewards. They're quite high, and there will be airdrops for people that are LPing in the future as well.
Awesome.
So you can kind of do whatever the math in the moment is to decide which one you prefer. But either of those are really good paths. And the way we've done it in the past is it's actually I know this is not popular language, like people don't call it this. I don't know why. I love the name of it. It's kind of more of an air claim than an airdrop. It's not just going to show up automatically in your wallet. You will have to claim it. We've done 2 seasons of this. It's worked really well. You can just do it on Etherscan. It's pretty straightforward. And that just helps us, make sure that Squill gets in the hands of people that care, and we don't have a bunch of dead wallets out there with Phantom Squill.
Yeah, you really have to be paying attention to be able to go and call a claim, a function from Etherscan, right? Like that, there's your
Yeah,
barrier of entry for the type of people who you're going to want to be able to have voting on your project.
yeah, that's right. The good news is the instructions are pretty clear, but to your point, it will scare some people, and maybe that's okay.
Well, that's awesome news, and thank you so much for once again. We're super pumped, and I'm sure that the llamas, as they listen to this call and hear about, I'll do the announcement in our announcement about with the recording. Be everybody's going to be excited and really want to help however we can. So, any closing thoughts? Get you off the phone by 9:30. I burned 35 minutes of your morning, so I don't want to take that
Uh,
much more.
All good. Thank you for having us. Really appreciate it. Excited to pull this off. And yeah, you guys, you can follow Open Stable Index on Twitter X if you want all the latest updates. And there you'll also probably find a link to the website, openstablecoinindex.com. So hope to see you in our Open Secret Admirers chat.
Yeah, we'll start filling up that Telegram group so I can post some more of my badass stickers that I have.
I like it. Well
All
done
right,
on that.
thank you, James.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.
Good morning.